They used to say the fastest way to become a millionaire in Dubai was to go there as a billionaire. But in March 2026, that saying became a tangible economic curse. In just 100 days, Dubai fell from its peak, with nearly 20 million international visitors, straight into the abyss. 80,000 bookings were cancelled overnight. At DXB Airport, the crowd is still jostling. But they are not coming to spend money. They are coming to flee. Can you believe it? More than 2,000 dusty supercars were left behind, their keys still in the ignition as a hasty farewell from those who once believed that money could buy immortality. When the wealthy lightning rods like Burj Khalifa tremble with valuations dropping by 12% each week, the world suddenly realizes an empire built on balance sheets of concrete and debt is, in reality, just a mirage oasis withering away. Let's walk together into the deserted avenues to uncover the truth. Why is this paradise disintegrating so quickly? The answer lies in an economic curse that Dubai has deliberately concealed for decades. In 2025, Dubai International Airport proudly announced a record of welcoming 95.2 million passengers. It was once considered the center of the universe, where the flow of money and people never ceased. But as March 2026 approached, this global gateway seemed to be entering an unprecedented state of freeze. A sudden systemic shock completely shattered the illusion of the so-called absolute safety paradise. Data from Cirium indicates a stark reality. More than 37,000 flights were cancelled within the first 3 weeks, evaporating millions of seats from the transportation market. The cancellation rate at DXB is estimated to have reached 43.7%. The crowd at Terminal 3 is still dense, still jostling, but look closely into the eyes of the people standing there. The nature of the crowd has completely changed. They do not bring capital to invest, but they bring panic to flee. This paralysis exposes the extreme fragility of an economic model that solely relies on the flow of transient capital. The skyrocketing cost of risk insurance has forced a series of major Western airlines, including British Airways and Virgin Atlantic, to suspend operations. The consequence? The ticket prices for private jets intended for evacuation have skyrocketed to absurd levels, sometimes reaching $350,000. Even when air travel was congested, those who had never set foot on the ground were willing to take a 6-hour taxi ride across the desert to Riyadh, just to find a safer takeoff window. And if you want to see the clearest evidence of the panic, don't look at the electronic cancellation boards. Go to the airport's long-term parking lot. Local authorities estimate that more than 2,000 supercars have been abandoned, covered in dust. Many people joke that the layer of dust on them is so thick that you could even write a will on it. Many keys are still left in the locks. The act of discarding this multi-million-dollar asset demonstrates a truth. In moments of system collapse, luxury materials completely lose their guaranteed value. An empire built on debt and short-term cash flow ultimately has to pay the price. Tourism revenue is estimated to evaporate by $600 million each day. Even the Al Maktoum mega airport project, once expected to replace DXB by 2032, now faces the risk of indefinite delay. The top brass seem to be running out of faith in their own vision. The silence of the world's once bustling runways is the first warning bell. Is a person's freedom truly protected by wealth? Or is that wealth merely a trap when the surrounding system suddenly ceases to function? Have we been too naive in entrusting our safety to economic models without a core foundation? The paralysis of the airport is just a blockage of the blood vessels. Right now, let's delve into the hearts of luxury that are quietly ceasing to beat in the heart of the city. Dubai's hospitality industry, which has long been a perpetual engine driving GDP, seems to be facing a serious existential crisis. Look at the telling numbers. More than 80,000 bookings were wiped out in the first week of March 2026. Room occupancy, which once proudly stood above 80% at the end of last year, has now plummeted below the 15% threshold. International risk assessment organizations no longer hold back when downgrading this city's travel credit rating. The 5-star and 7-star hotels, once dazzling with lights, now resemble gold-plated concrete tombs, magnificent yet eerily silent. Even the newly inaugurated mega projects like Jumeirah Marsa Al Arab have fallen into tragedy. They were born to showcase wealth, but they have to face the prospect of emptiness from the very first day of opening. This is not simply an economic downturn. This is a simultaneous turn of the global super-rich, the whales from Russia, China, and India. They are inherently the most sensitive entities to systemic instability. When trust shattered, a runaway effect occurred, leaving behind enormous revenue gaps that no desperate stimulus discount could ever compensate for. The most ridiculous, and also the most bitter aspect, lies in the operational structure. These towers were not designed to endure solitude. The cost of cooling and maintaining a massive but empty money-guzzling machine is a brutal burden. When high-end food supply chains record event cancellation rates of up to 75%, one suddenly realizes a paradox. Dubai does not build hotels to meet actual accommodation needs. They are building concrete balance sheets to flaunt their virtual power. At the Jumeirah beach strip, once a sanctuary of indulgence, now lies a desolate scene with rows of empty sun loungers. This emptiness proves a truth. The loyalty of the elite is merely a borrowed commodity, ready to be revoked as soon as the risks outweigh the benefits. Dubai is experiencing the reverse Monaco effect, an urban structure with a hollow luxury core, no longer capable of sustaining the lifeblood of a substantial economy. When the illusion of unconditional service fades away, these towers are left as bad assets waiting for international banks to foreclose. It turns out that even if you gild the entire facade, it cannot cover up an economic foundation lacking sustainable production value. An empire built on vanity as its core will go where when its only customer decides to walk away from the game. Is this collapse the inevitable end for a system that deliberately ignores reality in pursuit of gilded dreams? Leave your comments on how these massive real estate blocks are manipulating the global economy. And don't forget to follow so you don't miss the next in-depth analyses. When tourists no longer come, those who remain also begin to consider their exit. Let's witness the terrifying emptiness on the boulevards that were once the pride of the Middle East in the next part. The demographic structure of Dubai is inherently unique, where foreign professionals make up 85% of the total population. Instead of creating a cohesive community, this model inadvertently shapes temporary citizens who come for tax benefits and are ready to leave as soon as the cost-benefit equation no longer yields profit. Data from the UAE Federal Statistics Center recently recorded a shocking figure. 127,000 residence visas were cancelled in just the first quarter of 2026. This is not merely a demographic decline, it is a large-scale silent migration. It is estimated that around 40,000 senior professionals and middle managers have completely disappeared from the city's governance system. For those who have experienced enough ups and downs of economic cycles in the West, this exodus is nothing unusual. It's just like how capital flows out of emerging markets when risks start to surface. On private groups named Dubai Exit Plan, the number of members is skyrocketing. Here, the intellectuals no longer discuss real estate investment, but share ways to liquidate assets and escape legal obligations as quickly as possible. The consequences for social infrastructure are extremely severe. International schools report a 23% drop in enrollment rates. More seriously, the private healthcare system, the backbone of urban welfare, recorded a shortfall of up to 28% in nursing staff within just the first 3 months of the year. The core reason lies not only in short-term shocks but also in the cost of living structure here being completely detached from the actual value of labor. With actual inflation reaching 7.2% and skyrocketing rental prices, the educated middle class realizes they are being drained just to sustain a gigantic real estate machine. Even at the shopping cathedral Dubai Mall, the hustle and bustle is now just a facade. Internal figures indicate that direct retail sales have dropped by more than 50%. The authorities can prohibit stores from closing early to keep the lights on, but they cannot force customers to open their wallets when trust has run dry. The city is losing its soul. When those who truly sustain the economic pulse leave, Dubai reveals itself as a stage set for consumption rather than a place to live. A demographic paradox is emerging. The more the city tries to build to serve the rich, the more quickly it self-destructs the intellectual workforce needed to serve them. The silence on avenues like Sheikh Zayed is not just the echo of recession, but the voice of a generation of intellectual laborers refusing to be seen as financial tools. How will a city exist when the minds operating it decide that the price to maintain its glory has exceeded the limit of endurance? Surface wealth can hide the emptiness of a community lacking generational cohesion for how long? If this demographic data helps you gain a clearer view of the urban landscape, consider joining our community with a subscription. People have left, but the massive concrete blocks still have to stand there and endure. Let's analyze how world records are gradually turning into brutal financial burdens in the next part. The real estate market, which has been the backbone of Dubai's non-oil economy, seems to be entering the most severe correction since the 2008 crisis. But this time, it is not just a decline in prices, but the shattering of a belief. Look at the Burj Khalifa, the proud declaration of Dubai's absolute power. Currently, the demand for apartments in this tower is severely weakening, causing the prices of houses in the surrounding area to free fall by 12% in just a few short weeks. This shock caused MR Group's market capitalization to evaporate by up to 26%. Institutional investors are no longer patient. They are selling off to cut their losses before the illusion completely fades away. Notably, behind that shiny glass facade rising over 800 meters is a laughable lack of infrastructure coordination. For many years, the wastewater treatment system did not keep up with the design, leading to long lines of poop trucks queuing just to transport waste. This detail reflects a shortcut development mindset, prioritizing superficial records over a sustainable technical ecosystem. As the glory fades, the stark weaknesses begin to emerge. Moving out to sea, the artificial island Palm Jumeirah is revealing itself to be a golden cage full of flaws. Geological reports and satellite images from NASA indicate that this structure is sinking by about 5 millimeters each year. The faulty design of the seawall has blocked the ocean currents, causing stagnant seawater right next to the million-dollar villas. The owners here are facing a valuation drop of 15% to 20%. They are desperately selling off in the secondary market just to escape the enormous maintenance costs. The contrast between ostentation and the harsh reality of the environment reveals a truth. Humans cannot use debt to permanently bribe the laws of nature. Even Dubai Marina, once a sanctuary for content creators, has now become a graveyard for travel bloggers as strict filming bans are enforced. This information lockdown is a red flag sent to the global elite. The systemic risks here are beyond control. The market is realizing a harsh truth. When liquidity freezes, a $1 million penthouse with an ocean view is as worthless as an empty stretch of sand. These symbols are no longer growth drivers. They have become liabilities requiring billions of USD to maintain their physical existence. How can an economy maintain its prosperity when its iconic structures are merely money-burning machines with no real profitability? How long can human pride withstand the erosive forces of nature and the laws of supply and demand? Owning depreciating assets is a tragedy, but being unable to leave those assets behind is a sentence. Welcome to the imprisonment known as financial legality in the next section. For decades, Dubai has successfully marketed itself as an absolute tax haven, a magnet attracting tycoons and individuals eager to optimize or frankly evade global financial regulations. But by 2026, these legal privileges are reversing at a dizzying pace, turning the city that was once a sanctuary into a trap that ensnares those who chose it. Under the strict legal system here, bankruptcy, issuing bad checks, or delaying loan repayments are not just civil matters. They are considered criminal offenses. Once the cash flow suddenly breaks, arrest warrants and exit bans will be immediately activated. This is the mechanism that creates graveyards of supercars in airport parking lots. Individuals who once had super high incomes would now rather abandon their $1 million assets to flee in the night than face solitary confinement in the desert. The financial residency law also creates a cruel paradox. The ultra-wealthy cannot leave freely. If they stay in another country for more than 45 days, their global tax residency status may be triggered, leading to massive asset seizures by Western tax authorities. They are caught in a dilemma. Stay to witness systemic risks devouring their assets, or leave to face the financial safety net waiting back home. For viewers from Europe or North America, who are accustomed to paying taxes to maintain welfare, this scene brings a certain moral balance. Perhaps this is the moment when the facade of a frictionless financial system is stripped away. It turns out that the freedom of capital flows has never equated to personal freedom when a crisis erupts. Local authorities, in a desperate effort to prevent the collapse of the real estate market, have established administrative barriers to hinder the rapid liquidation of assets. The experts who once believed they were in control of the system now bitterly realize they are merely economic hostages meant to protect the liquidity of domestic banks. With restructured debts potentially exceeding $80 billion USD, Dubai is at risk of being drained of capital by rivals like Singapore or Riyadh. This legal hell is a cold reminder that there is no such thing as a free paradise. Everything that isn't taxed in cash will eventually be taxed with the risk and your freedom of choice. Is wealth obtained through legal loopholes truly sustainable? Or is it merely a temporary loan from luck, now being repaid with the interest of freedom? Is justice always operating silently but ruthlessly against systems lacking an ethical foundation? The elite may lose money and flee, but there is a force that has lost everything and nowhere to go. Can you guess who it is? Beneath the glittering golden towers and luxurious beach clubs, the true foundation of Dubai is not built with concrete, but with the sweat and silent sacrifices of millions of migrant workers. This workforce, mainly from South Asia and Africa, makes up nearly 90% of the actual labor force. Yet they remain invisible in all the glamorous tourism promotional films. When the crisis of trust broke out in early 2026, the people in camps like Al Quoz or Sonapur became the first abandoned victims. The kafala system, a harsh sponsorship mechanism that tightly binds their rights and visas to their employers, inadvertently turns them into economic prisoners as soon as construction projects are indefinitely stalled. An average salary of only $300 to $500 per month for a server at a five-star restaurant is a stark testament to the systematic exploitation aimed at maintaining profit margins for the elite. The collapse of the real estate empires means that tens of thousands of workers are deprived of their wages, forced to take unpaid leave, and confined in camps lacking basic sanitary conditions. Independent media have previously reported heartbreaking scenes. Labor camps crowded amidst garbage, where people who once symbolized power now face the fear of starvation in the desert. Their pain is not only the loss of personal livelihood, but also the disruption of remittance flows, the sole source of income for millions of impoverished families back home. From this perspective, the collapse of the Dubai Mirage is not just a financial tragedy for investors, but seems to be the enforcement of a kind of moral justice against a system built on extreme injustice. A city willing to sacrifice the dignity of millions to protect the balance sheet of a small group of tycoons carries within itself the seeds of self-destruction. This is perhaps a glaring lesson. The towers erected through the deprivation of human rights will never have solid protection from the social foundation. Dubai 2026 seems to be dying not because of technical issues, but because of the emptiness of a moral value system, where people are regarded as disposable resources. To revive, this city must confront the harsh reality, dismantling the model of cheap labor exploitation and building a more authentic cost structure. If not, any recovery effort will only be a continuation of inflating a balloon with blood and tears, waiting for the next collapse to be even more brutal. Can a civilization take pride in its greatness if that greatness is built by stealing the future of the most vulnerable? Is this decline the necessary price for humanity to realize that no profit justifies cruelty? The collapse of Dubai in 2026 was not merely an economic crisis. It was the bankruptcy of a development philosophy based on vanity and extreme financial leverage. When the skyscrapers can no longer conceal the cracks of geopolitical reality and social injustice, we realize that an empire built on money but lacking loyalty and ethical foundations will always be a fragile structure in the face of storms. Dubai may not disappear from the map, But the Dubai dream, a symbol of boundless prosperity without cost, has officially come to an end. What remains on the hot sands now is a valuable lesson for the whole world about the fragility of borrowed values. If one day all the symbols of power, the gilded pillars, and the dancing numbers on the stock market suddenly collapse, what true value will remain in your hands? Will it be knowledge, empathy between people, or just fragments of sand swirling in the desert wind? What do you think about this collapse? Is this an inevitable outcome or just a temporary setback for Dubai? Please leave a comment below so we can discuss together. If you find these in-depth analyses valuable, please like and share this video with those who are still dreaming of flawless investment paradises. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next investigative reports on the shifting power dynamics and hidden aspects of the global economy. The content in this video is based on analytical data, economic reports, and geopolitical context assumptions up to March 2026. The information provided is intended for research purposes to promote critical thinking and social discussion. It should not be considered as financial, legal, or political criticism advice for any individual, organization, or country. All personal decisions should be based on independent and multifaceted research.